Hey, what's up? It's been a while since my last video. I know I said I was going to post a lot, but honestly, I've had a few videos that I've made and I just don't like them. I don't feel like posting them and I'm kind of lazy, so I don't post a lot. But this is worthy of the post because if any of you don't know, Daredevil Born Again ended last night. Daredevil, the original show on Netflix, is my favorite show of all time. It's probably my favorite media, favorite thing to watch ever. The only thing that comes close to it is the Batman, but after watching Born Again, I might take Daredevil over the Batman. I just love Daredevil. Season 1's a 9.5 out of 10. Season 2 is an 8.5 out of 10. And Season 3 is a 10 out of 10. If I could go above a 10, Season 3 would be a 12 out of 10. Season 3 is amazing. Season 3 is one of the best seasons of television ever. It's up there with Invincible level good. So is Season 1. And Season 2, honestly, Daredevil, the original show, is just like Invincible, where Season 1 is amazing. It's a good, beginning, good Season 1. And then Season 2 kind of drops off a little bit. I personally like Season 2 of Daredevil more than Season 2 of Invincible. I think Invincible Season 2 is an 8 out of 10 or whatever. Season 2 of Daredevil is an 8.5, maybe even a 9. I like it way more than a lot of people because I love Punisher. And then Season 3 is just perfect. It starts off a little slow, but I don't mind that because I like the whole him coming back to life and learning how to use his powers again and all that. And him kind of being a detective, and I love that, and I love the build-up of Bullseye, because we'll talk about it later, but Bullseye is a top 10 villain of all time. I love that guy. But yes, Daredevil, the original show, I can't praise it enough. I love that show so much. It is just the greatest thing I've ever laid my eyes on, and this is basically Season 4, but not really. In my opinion, this is kind of different than what we've seen with the original Daredevil series, but to some people this is just Season 4 of Daredevil. It's a new show and it's supposed to be part of the MCU, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So the first episode, this is spoilers, by the way. I'm not going to try to talk about it without spoiling it. It's been out long enough. If you're watching this video and you don't care about it, then keep watching, or if you care about spoilers, then go watch the episodes and come back or whatever. But episode 1, I was saying this until we got to episode 4. Episode 1, the first 10 minutes was probably the greatest scene I have ever watched of television. That's a lot to say because there's stuff in Endgame like the portal scene and stuff like that, but strictly just TV, this is definitely the best scene I've ever watched. A lot of people hated it because spoiler, they killed off Foggy. Just, bam, killed him off. I love Foggy, but it had to happen. Somebody had to die. We knew it was going to happen. All the leaks and stuff were basically relating towards Foggy's going to die. And also, supposedly, he's coming back in Season 2. So, they might adapt the comic book storyline where he fakes his own death or whatever. Or, it's just flashbacks. But he's supposed to be coming back in Season 2. We'll see. But they killed him off, and that opening fight scene was perfect. Everything about it was absolutely perfect. The fact that Daredevil got drawn away to go save this one dude that Foggy was Foggy's client, and then while he was away, he heard Foggy get shot, and then he heard throughout the fight scene you hear a heartbeat. It was just every other sound was kind of really quiet, and the action was kind of quiet, but the thing that was really overarching loud during it was the heartbeat, and that heartbeat was Foggy's, and you can hear throughout the fight how it's slowly dying off, and then you just hear it randomly stop, and it goes silent, and I just loved that so much. The fact that Matt was gonna kill Bullseye, and he tried to kill Bullseye, but Bullseye just lived because he's got the adamantium skeleton. He threw him off a building. It was a crazy way to open up the episode because we've known Matt to be the guy that just won't kill no matter what. There's so many opportunities where he could just kill someone and the problem would be solved, and the season sorry about that, my computer just shut off, I don't know why, but anyways, there was so many problems that could have just been solved if he would have just killed whoever he's fighting, but he just wouldn't. So that being like just the opening time we see Matt just do that was just cool to see. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, what are we going to do now? And then it cuts to a year later, and Matt has completely given up Daredevil. Bullseye's getting thrown in jail, whatever. So episode 1 started off really strong, and then it kind of just slowly fell, but it was still a great episode. I liked it way more than a lot of people. I like this whole show way more than a lot of people. This is a solid 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 for me. I loved every second of it. Some people are saying this is one of the worst Daredevil seasons, and I can see that. This definitely, it's a 9.5 out of 10, but it's not a 9.5 like the season 1. This is a completely different show. So season 1 and season 3 are definitely better than this, but it comes right under them, and then there's season 2. But yeah, and then there's also another theme with all these episodes. There is a scene in every single episode that is just perfect almost. Episode 1, we'll go through them real quick. Episode 1 had the opening scene where Matt's fighting Bullseye. Bullseye kills Foggy. That scene is awesome. I loved every second of it. As I said, that is my favorite scene until we get to episode 4. Then, episode 2, the ending scene, Matt goes to a client, and then, spoiler alert, there's corrupt cops. That's a whole theme throughout this show. I don't want to get too far into it because I would be talking forever. But there's corrupt cops that track down Matt, and they try to kill him, and they don't know he's Daredevil, of course, so they're just beating up on a blind guy. Then all of a sudden, Matt just snaps. He breaks one guy's arm completely, breaks it in half, throws him on the ground, breaks his jaw, and the other guy throws him in the fridge and breaks his jaw. And then he lets out that primal scream that Kingpin talks about all the time. It was just, what an amazing way to end that episode. It got me hype, but then I remember, I was like, man, I have to wait a week now to watch episode 3. Then, episode 3, there's another theme with this show where certain episodes, it's almost like a bottle episode, but not really. They just have one main scene. They are just in one spot throughout the episode. And episode 3 was the first one of the series, and it was just the trial of White Tiger. White Tiger, spoiler, he threw a guy in the subway and killed him, or he threw a police officer in there thinking that it was a bad guy. He was trying to help this random dude that was getting interrogated by the corrupt cops, and he accidentally tripped someone, and he fell into a subway, and they got smashed by a train. So he went to trial for murder of a cop, and Daredevil's his lawyer. Well, anyways, that whole episode is just that. It's just in court, the whole trial or whatever. So then he ends up getting free. I don't know how. I don't know how Matt won that case, but whatever. And at the end of the episode, the last thing you see is Matt said to White Tiger, Hector, do not go out and be a vigilante again. You will die. There are people hunting for you. Just live your life. Well, what does he do? As soon as Matt tells him that very night he gets free, he goes out, and a corrupt cop lures him, and then there's just a scene where he's just running. He turns, and when he looks back, there's a cop with his gun on his head, and he just shoots it, and that's the end of the episode. I was shocked. Did not know they were going to do that. I thought White Tiger was going to be an important part of this series. He obviously was, because it builds up other things, but I thought he was going to be a recurring character. He was going to help Daredevil fight Kingpin or whatever. But yeah, so that would be episode 3's scene or whatever. Then, episode 4, this had the scene in it which I personally, up until this point, I thought season 1, or episode 1 had the best scene, but this is probably one of the best scenes I've ever laid my eyes on. I loved the dialogue between these two. Matt goes and finds Frank Castle, the Punisher, and they talk, and I can't explain the dialogue. You just have to go watch it for yourself. If you don't want to watch the show, just look up the dialogue. It is some of the greatest acting I've ever seen, and they could have just made a whole episode like that, and I would have loved it. But basically, Punisher was sending shots Matt's way, saying, "Oh, you couldn't save your friend Foggy," and Matt was kind of bringing up Punisher's kids, and then Matt was bringing up how Bullseye got life, and then Punisher was like, "Well, you should have just killed him because guess what? Foggy got life," meaning Foggy lost his life. So yeah, it was awesome. So next up, so that was the one scene of episode 4, of course, and then next up, episode 5. This is another one of them bottle episodes, and this one really was like what they call a bottle episode. Not really much went on. There wasn't much plot progression, but this was probably one of the best bottle episodes I've ever watched in my life. Basically, Matt goes to get a loan from actually Kamala Khan's dad, which was a cameo that I did not expect, but he's at a bank getting a loan, and then they tell him no. So when he's leaving, bank robbers come in and start a heist. So he uses powers and he hears them starting that heist. So then he calls the police and was like, "Hey, there's a heist going on," and he hangs up the phone, of course. So then he goes back in acting like he forgot something, and they take him. So he lured himself back in to be a part of this and try to save people. So the whole episode is just Matt scheming ways to get everyone safe, and then they eventually do, and the fight between him and one of the heistmen in the stairwell was just awesome. I loved it. And then him using his powers to like open the vault, and then him talking in Irish was really cool. I just thought it was a really good episode. It was just really solid. I mean, a lot of people said it wasn't needed, and yeah, probably wasn't needed. It was just used for a cameo, but it was good. It was a good episode, so I'm not mad. And then I believe episode 5 and episode 6 came out on the same night, and episode 6 was just right back in it. We got right back into the main storyline, just boom. So throughout the season, there's been this guy. His name's Muse. He kills people, uses their blood and whatever, and draws with them art. He makes big art. He mixes them in paint and spray paints and all that stuff. So he's like the villain so far. He's not really. He's kind of just popping up here and there, but we don't really hear anything about him. We just see him a few times. Episode 6 though is when we really get a good look at Muse, and we get after it. So the whole episode is basically Hector's niece, I believe. She goes to Matt and was like, "Hey, you're a lawyer. You should be able to stop this guy," it was kind of weird that she went to a blind lawyer. Like, how is he going to stop Muse? But anyways, she ends up taking it upon herself to go find him and confront him. And then when she does, Muse ends up drugging her and taking him back to his base or whatever in the subway. Well, her mom calls Matt thinking that he's their lawyer, so maybe he can do something. And that's when Matt snaps, and hence Daredevil born again. This is the first time we see him in a Daredevil suit since episode 1, and it's been a year and a half since he's been Daredevil or whatever. He goes to the subway, finds Muse. They fight. Their fight was amazing. Muse knows he knows Taekwondo or whatever, I guess. He's putting up a decent fight, but Matt was really handling him. And then that's just when Matt becomes Daredevil again. He understands that, hey, nobody's going to get this done. Daredevil's got to be the one to solve this. So he goes over and saves the girl, and while he's saving the girl, Muse escapes, and that's the end of the episode. So once again, there was one main scene in that show, or one main scene in that episode that was just amazing, him fighting Muse. And then next episode, so I haven't talked about it, but Daredevil's new love interest is a counselor. It's just she's a counselor. She talks with people about their problems, just that type of counselor. Well, Muse, he was actually a guy that was in episode 1 that walked up to her and asked for sessions. We didn't know that was Muse. We speculated that was him, but we didn't know because he had a secret identity. So he ends up going to her without his mask on and everything, and that's most of the episode is him just talking to her. Well, then all of a sudden he starts getting more and more and more and more crazy. While this is going on, Matt is at Muse's base, and he figures out that Muse is targeting Heather. He finds a painting and he feels her face. So Muse is getting ready to kill Heather. He has her arm slit open. He's got a needle in there sucking in all the blood, and Daredevil busts through the window, and then they fight. And it was awesome. And then while they're fighting, Muse goes to kill Heather. He grapples his shoulder, pulls her back, and then they're fighting, and then Daredevil pushes him out in the open, and then Heather picks up a gun that Muse had and just lays into him, kills him right there. So, that being said, that was one of the worst decisions of the season, in my opinion. If you don't know, Muse in the comics, he has powers in the comics. His powers are, he can't be detected by Daredevil, because Daredevil can't see, so he has like radar sense. He can smell really good. He can hear really good. He just has weird feelings, like he can feel the air. He can feel people. And Muse blocks all that out. He didn't have that this season. So already Muse is kind of a lame villain, I guess you could say. He was pretty cool. But, yeah, they kill him. And I was shocked. I mean, it was done very well, but I'm hoping that he's a copycat, and maybe next season we get introduced to a real Muse who has the powers and is an Inhuman and all that, because I feel like that would work so well with Daredevil, because Daredevil has fought people like that he can't really sense, being the Hand in Season 2, but he's never really fought one main guy that has like completely blocked radar senses. So I think that would be really cool. I hope they bring him back in some way. So then we go to episode 8. Also in episode 7, Kingpin starts the Vigilante Task Force, Anti-Vigilante Task Force, that basically just kills all the vigilantes. They're a bunch of corrupt cops. So episode 8 was maybe my second or third favorite episode of the series. So Bullseye gets released into Gen Pop. Kingpin wants him dead. Daredevil goes to see Bullseye. Daredevil slams his head on the table, and that breaks Bullseye's tooth. Well, then Bullseye is in the infirmary getting fixed up, and he spits out his tooth into someone's eye and kills him, and then he gets set free. That was awesome. That was ripped straight out of the comics. That happened in the comics. He used his tooth to kill somebody. It was perfect. And then they go to a dance. Daredevil and Heather and Kingpin and all them, they go to this big dance that the Mayor Kingpin is setting up. And Bullseye escapes. He gets there, and then he is aiming to shoot Kingpin, and at the last second, Matt jumps in the way and takes the bullet from him. They don't explain why. He just does. My best reasoning for this is, in this episode, Matt figures out that Vanessa is the one that called the hit on Foggy, that called Bullseye in to kill Foggy, and the whole season, Daredevil thought it was Kingpin that did it. So Daredevil was saving Kingpin because his plan was that he was probably going to kill Kingpin for killing his best friend, but he saved Kingpin because it was Vanessa that did it, not him. So that was my thought about it. I don't know if it's true or not. But then we get into the next episode. It starts off with Vanessa talking to Bullseye, like a flashback a year ago. She set him free as long as she got the favor of him killing Foggy and his client. He did. That happened in episode 1. And then it just goes straight into Matt escapes the hospital because he was shot, but he escapes because somebody's come to kill him. He goes back to his apartment. Well, Punisher's there. And, spoiler, but we'll see Karen in this episode too. She comes back. She was in episode 1, and now she's in the season finale. She calls Punisher to basically go check up on Matt and keep him alive because she knows Matt's in trouble. So Punisher's there, and let me tell you, this episode was amazing. The action was rated R+. Punisher's ripping people's jaws off, slitting their necks, goo's going everywhere, body parts are going everywhere. Perfect. And then, speaking of rated R, Kingpin has this iconic moment in the comics where it didn't happen exactly like it in the comics. He put a Spider-Man mask on and squished the dude's head. In this show, he just ended up grabbing the dude's head and he just squished it. He ripped his brain out and ripped the bottom of the guy's jaw. But it was amazing. It was cool to see Kingpin unleashed like that. But the season finale didn't really wrap up everything. It was more of just leading into season 2. Punisher got captured by Kingpin, and we see in the post-credit scene that Punisher is escaping. He broke a dude's arm, and he got the keys, and he's getting let out of his cage. And then Daredevil's setting up a team to fight the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, hoping I'm hoping the team is all the Defenders and Moon Knight and all those people come together to fight. But yeah, I mean that's basically a summary off memory of the whole season. Daredevil Born Again was amazing. I loved every week of it. There was never just a moment where I was like, oh, this is so boring. And I'm super hyped for Season 2. We have a year and a half to wait for Season 2, which sucks. But there's already been set photos leaked of Daredevil's new costume. And just a bunch of stuff has been leaked. And I'm just ready to watch it. And yeah, that's the end. Catch you in the next one. See ya.